a certain individual, a certain citizen of this republic as a soprano voice. So can you kindly withdraw that statement?
It's a statement. It's
or substantiate whether you are able to.
Mr. Speaker, sir, you can't substantiate the obvious. It's a statement of fact, a descriptive statement of fact. It's not an insult. It's a statement of fact. But if it is offensive, then I will withdraw it and apologize.
Proceed and conclude.
So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I've not seen any action that the state has taken other than issuing baseless threats against bandits to restore the balance of arms where the state has the monopoly of violence over criminal gangs. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you for the opportunity and for the guidance. And I was standing with Senator Cherargei, the Lion of Nandi, for the great input he has given us. I also thank Senator Dulo, the Queen of Isiolo, for the informative information she has given us, and I support the motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator.
God bless us.
Next is Senator Joe Nyuti, Moranga Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. And I rise to support the motion by Senator Cheptumo, who has just gotten back to the House. Mr. Speaker, right from the wording of this particular motion, that, Mr. Speaker, there are very many negative socio-economic impact on the things that, on the lives of the people affected by banditry and cattle rustling, Mr. Speaker. This is a very big social problem, Mr. Speaker, where we have people displaced, where we have orphans that would otherwise have been children with their parents, Mr. Speaker, where we have widowers, Mr. Speaker, and this is a matter that needs to be taken very seriously by the government, and that is why I rise to support that we declare this motion that states that seeks declaration of cattle rustling and banditry as a national disaster, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to thank the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, the Honorable C.S. Kindiki, for what he has, for his efforts, Mr. Speaker, that he has shown over the short period of time that he has been Cabinet Secretary in this particular ministry. Mr. Speaker, we have seen him even visit the grounds where these offenses happen, Mr. Speaker. And this is a job well done. We see a coordinated Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Speaker. But I think there are many other things. There is a lot of room for improvement, Mr. Speaker, where if the CS and the ministry was going, Mr. Speaker, to improve on some of the suggestions that we have, and I'm glad that you have advised that we can introduce amendments to this particular motion, Mr. Speaker. I think one of the challenges that we have been having in trying to arrest banditry and cattle rustling, Mr. Speaker, is where we send the security forces. We send our police officers, Mr. Speaker, and it has been established that I don't know why this tradition has been there, that the askaris that we send to these particular areas, Mr. Speaker, sometimes are newly recruited and trained askaris, newly posted askaris, Mr. Speaker, where they find the terrain very challenging, Mr. Speaker. I think I would want to suggest that they form a special group of askaris, Mr. Speaker, and basically and mostly those drawn from those areas. We have askaris, we have young men and women that have grown up in these bandit-prone areas, Mr. Speaker, and who are very conversant with this type of terrains that we have in those particular areas, Mr. Speaker. I would want to propose and suggest to the CS that they can pick a special, they can make a special wing basically comprising officers who have grown up in those areas, Mr. Speaker, so that they will be able to handle that terrain. They'll be able, Mr. Speaker, to be superior in handling these bandits, Mr. Speaker. And I think that is something that is doable because we can be able to identify where people come from even when they are serving in the forces or in the service, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, banditry and cattle rustling over the years has appeared like something that cannot be arrested. But Mr. Speaker, I remember that some years back we had a problem with a group that was calling itself Sabaot Land Defense Force, SLDF, Mr. Speaker, that gave this country, and especially Kenyans living around Mount Elgon, a very great problem for a number of years, Mr. Speaker. And when enough was enough, and the army was deployed to go and arrest that problem, Mr. Speaker, it took only a few months, and the leader of that particular gang was actually killed, Mr. Speaker. I do not know why the leaders from these areas do not support or are always opposed to the deployment of the armed forces to go and arrest that particular menace, Mr. Speaker. I think this is something that should be highly thought about so that we do not have a perennial problem. This is something that can be done. This is a problem that can be arrested, Mr. Speaker, and I suggest that we look at the possibility of posting or deploying the army, Mr. Speaker, to go and arrest this problem, Mr. Speaker. I have listened to Senator Cheralge indicating, and I think I concur with him, that there could be people, sometimes even in Parliament, Mr. Speaker, that support this cattle rustling for the commercial benefits that they get from this, Mr. Speaker. I think we should have a special investigative team, Mr. Speaker, to investigate and see who funds, if at all, these rustlers, Mr. Speaker, so that whoever it is, we cannot continue having our people killed. We cannot continue seeing our people lose their life investments in their livestock that they keep, Mr. Speaker, just because there are some people that could be powerful somewhere that support this particular problem, Mr. Speaker, or this banditry. Mr. Speaker, let us establish a special investigative group that will investigate, establish who funds these people, who supports these people, who gives these people protection, political or otherwise, Mr. Speaker, so that we can be able to deal with this problem once and for all. Most of these animals, Madam Speaker now, most of these animals, when stolen, they are transported to be